Hi everyone, welcome to ST Skills. This is a mm, weekly system design session, and today we are having a mock interview, and we also have deep dive discussions on the topics on alternate weekends. So um, today, like Ankur volunteered to take as an interviewer and Namita as an interviewee. So the format of this is like we give like 45 minutes to 1 hour max for the both of them to conduct like a real interview, and we all listen as an audience and try to gather feedback, and so we can learn from each other and discuss after this 1 hour. So with this, like I'll give the forum to Ankur. So please go ahead and start your interview.
Yes,
Mm.
thanks, Naga. Thanks, Naga. So, am I audible
Yes,
clearly? Okay. Hi, Namita. Namita, can you give me, a little bit background about you? I mean, the same background that you gave me, on the chat, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Namita. I currently am working with Amazon, and I'm trying to just get better at the system design interviewing skills, and trying to learn from all of you, and just trying to get some feedback on how to actually work in like an interview kind of a setup. So that's the goal of
So,
this session for me right now.
Namita, so how long have you been preparing for system design interviews or interviews generally?
I haven't been preparing for really long. I just started like
Oh, just
15,
started.
20 days back. Yeah, 15, 20 days back.
Okay. Okay. So basically, I actually chose two questions for you. Just in case you don't understand the first question, or this is also my first time taking a mock interview on system design. Usually, I take sessions on algos only, right? So if the
Mm.
first question is not making sense, we'll go to the second one. Okay. Okay. So here I want you to actually design uh, Dropbox or a Google Drive, and this is
Okay,
actually for basically schools or universities.
I see.
So for example, a university which has like 1,000 or 10,000 people, or maybe or maybe some thousand people,
Okay,
but
so
also making sure that uh, each student, right?
mhm.
It might he might be using an iOS and Android or a browser, and as soon as he uploads something from from one device, he is able to see it across the other device. That's all.
Got it, got it. So um, just give me one second. Yeah, so basically what we want to do here is we want to create something like Dropbox, which can have the scale of it is not really high. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes,
Uh,
and and one more thing.
mhm,
I don't want you to. So a database is also is nothing but a file system, right?
mhm,
So I actually want you to design the storage,
mhm.
not basically the storage. And you have clients, and you have the storage, and storage is nothing but uh, just disk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're putting whatever you're uploading, you're doing some manipulation and putting them directly on the disk. I don't want you to use an actual database. Usually, I've seen what they do is design file system, design Google Drive is they put servers and they put some site of a Cassandra or a MySQL at the end. I don't want you to use a database like that, but design that
Okay,
storage.
uh, so you want me to design the actual storage where the files will be stored, and not
E-
like the system, like an overall high level system that would have like basically a sync client or maybe client side sync client, a metadata
no,
service
but
and
you still
stuff. You
have
don't
to.
want. Okay.
But you still have to consider what will happen when you have multiple clients
Mm-hmm.
syncing the same file or trying to retrieve the same file across devices.
Okay, so let me do this. How about I give you like a higher level overview, and then we can deep dive into the storage system. How does that sound?
Yeah, yes, maybe that'll help me also to help you figure out what exactly I have in my mind.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, just to make sure we are clear on the requirements, we want like across the devices, we want to sync the files. So we want some sync system that should be present. We want to actually store the actually store the files. So
Mhm.
that's something that we would need a system that is actually responsible for storing the files. We would need another metadata system that would figure out like who is the user. You don't want me to dive deep into like a user kind of a system
No, no, no.
and
I don't.
authentication and okay. So
Yeah, I'm
let's
not
say
worried about
I'll
users,
okay,
data,
okay,
or anything.
okay. So I'll just put them out of scope like user management and you don't want me to dive deep into like the security of the system
Yeah,
or
security is fine. You can. I mean, if since this is about this file syncing, security has to be there.
okay. All right.
But you don't have
So
to go deep into that. Just high level should will be fine for security.
okay, makes sense. So I think I got like the high level requirements, and we can come back to requirements if I'm missing something, but I can get started on the higher level diagram so we would understand where do we want to focus and we can
Yeah,
go from there.
I mean, if one more thing makes sense, so just imagine that there are
Mm-hmm,
there's a single user,
mm-hmm,
right? And he has four clients,
mm-hmm,
right? Like an iOS, Android, Windows, and something. Just an
mm-hmm,
example, and there is just a single server, right? And single server is all I mean, assume this is only a single server, but and that server is responsible to make sure everything is working. I mean, if one client uploads, the second client should be able to see that. I mean, there's no mismanagement. He's not getting very old data. He's not update like not getting wrong data.
okay. Basically the sync server, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think I got it. So you don't want me to focus on like we can do you want me to do the capacity estimation or do you want me to start
No,
with
that
like
that
high
is not
level?
required. I mean, and you
Okay.
can assume that. I mean, I already told you like it's for universities. So I mean, assume
Mhm,
1,000 people, and you can like if there are multiple universities that are coming in, you can like do that replication or whatever. But
mhm.
each user, I mean, assume that he can upload like 1 GB of file, and that file can be anything.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So 1 GB of the file and one last question I have is how do you want like it to be consistent? Like do you want the sync to be happening consistently across the devices or is like eventual consistency okay?
That you have to think about. Like, what do you want?
I mean it would be depending on what your requirement is. I would suggest this be like a strongly consistent system. And the reason that I'm thinking about this being strongly consistent and you we can discuss like how we want the system to be
No, no.
is because
If you put strongly
Mhm,
consistent, that'll make the system very slow, right? I mean, it's like you'll have
mhm.
to. It depends what you mean by strongly consistent. Like how strong you're talking about. Like depends how
uh,
strong. Is it like you block everything till that file is being synced? You're not taking any more requests of a different client. I mean, depends on that. But you can say that it is consistent. It is
mhm.
it is somewhere between strong and eventual. If strong
Uh,
means blocking everything.
okay.
So you can imagine just
Okay.
how Google Drive is giving right now. If you upload right now, you
Mhm.
go and you look into your iOS and I mean on a different device you get it right.
Yeah, yeah. I
That
mean, that's
functionality. It
why
might be
that's
very
that's
fast.
the reason. It's not about very fast or whatever. What I'm saying is, uh, what I mean by eventual consistency is if you, for example, type on your web browser and if you try to see it on your phone, maybe it might be delayed a little bit. So are we okay with those delays?
Yeah, I mean
That
this is
is,
we are not doing design the Google Docs, right? So So according to, we don't want the it to be as consistent as how you have in Google Docs. Like if I type anything, you should be able to see that immediately. Obviously we don't want that strong of consistency.
Okay, so let me ask it like, and I think I want to move forward, but let me ask just one last question. So when I was saying about strongly consistent, the thing that I was thinking about is, do you want like shared folders in the system? Because the use case that I was thinking about when I said strong consistency was if you have like a shared folder and you delete something and then you have like a shared like you delete something and then you share that folder. You don't want people who have like the shared access to see the file that you already deleted. So uh, what would be
Like
our
right now, I didn't think about sharing
Mhm.
actually.
Okay, so no sharing. So that's actually that
Yes.
simplifies. Then we'll
Yes.
just no sharing.
Maybe
Okay.
that will add maybe later if your architecture
I
can handle that. But right now, no,
okay.
no sharing.
Okay, okay, perfect. I think this simplifies it for me. And if we don't have any sharing of the files, then I would go with eventual consistency. That's just going to make things faster and scalable for us. Okay, so I think I've got everything. So I can just try to put like a higher level diagram here, and then we can dive deep into each of the system and we can see where we want to go from there. So there is like a user, and it can be like multiple clients actually. So it's like an actor and like a web browser that are trying to access our system. What they are going to do is they are going to, sorry, I'm just not very um, used to this tool yet. Uh, let's see, this is like a load balancer. The load balancer is talking to one of our backend services. This backend service, we will have like two backend services here, and everything is distributed. So we can assume that it has multiple servers and all that. So one is like a metadata service. And another system that I'm thinking about is like the actual storage service that we want to deep dive at a later point. So, and I talk about what each of them are doing. So this is like a metadata service, and this is like a block storage service. Can have something
And I
stored
hope you're not going to use
individually.
AWS.
Yes,
I don't want to use AWS.
you don't want to use AWS. Okay, so you want
Yeah,
to.
I don't want you to use AWS.
Yeah, I'll replace these blocks. Let me just at least try to come up with like an overall higher level system, and then we can replace AWS with our own storage. How does that sound? So
Basically,
we have at least
I
like one.
wanted you to basically I wanted you to make the storage, the design,
Okay,
the storage, not
so you want me
replace.
to design like a? Do you want me to design S3?
But
I'm just like still trying to understand because you kept mentioning about the synchronous system. So I'm trying to understand like
yeah,
if
yeah,
the
you can say
sync
that. I mean,
service is something that we want to keep in scope, or do we
yeah, you
just
can
want
say that.
to?
I mean, I wanted to design S3. So you have a
Mhm.
client who is directly uploading to the S3, and if he goes and sees go to he logs in through a different device, he's able to see the same file on S3. That's all. So you can say design S3.
Okay. Okay, I'll create one more diagram. Let's just forget about this. Uh, so basically, this is like a distributed file storage system that we are trying to design at this point, right? Where you want like the replication of the files. Uh, in that case, we will maybe have to figure out the requirements at one more time. So you want to replicate the files across the storage systems. You want to basically maybe partition if there are more than like a lot of data that a server
No,
cannot
no. So
handle.
I
We
already
want
told
to
you
talk
there's
about.
like it's only for the university level.
Mhm.
It's like for 1,000 people. What I want to I want to see is how you design S3 so that it's even I mean it's handling those 1,000 users properly. How do you design S3? Design S3 means internals of S3.
Okay. So, all right. So let's start with that. So, if we have to design a distributed file storage, so what all will we need is so it's like you would first need to figure out that if like we cannot keep, even if it is 1,000 users, we cannot keep all of their data into one file system, right? So at least are we assuming that we would need more than one box to store all of their files?
Hey, Namita. So 1 second.
Mhm.
So I'm seeing some comments on the chat, and seems like the question is not proper. So maybe I'll skip this question then, right? If
Uh,
it is confusing, I'll go with a different question then. Fine.
no, I think no, that's fine. I think we can go forward. If we start at this point, we might not
Okay.
have enough time for
No,
the second question.
because Alex and Nick both mentioned that. To be honest, I'm not sure that I understand the question. Alex mentioned that this I want you to do is a crazily annoying. Interviewer definitely needs to learn about collaboration working together
Yeah,
with Bina.
just to
Let's
interrupt,
not
like
change the
Ankur,
question.
yeah, you
Yeah.
need not look at the chart, like, but just to be cautious, like, don't change questions and requirements often, like, that's as a general observation. But, like, the fact that you guys started on something, you can carry on in the interest of time.
Okay.
So, if
Okay.
file storage is what you're looking, you can continue, or Dropbox, one of those.
Yeah.
I
I mean
think I
this
would
one distributed file
advise.
storage actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
Okay,
focus
let's
on
go
one.
with the storage for now. Yeah.
Okay, so if it is distributed file storage, Ankur, maybe we can. I just want few more requirements rather than just like store for 1,000 people. We would still. What do you want this like file storage to do? Do you still like this wouldn't be on one box, right? It should be replicated. Like we are thinking that our scale should be something which is not able to be we won't be able to store basically in one file, one server's file system. Is
Yeah.
that a correct
That is
assumption?
yeah. That is correct. That's correct.
Okay. So more than one server is something that we need. Um, Other than that, uh, we would need like basically a fault tolerant, highly available system
Yes.
and eventual consistency.
Yes. As you explained before.
Yep. I'm just making sure that the things are still okay. So we have eventual consistency and file storage, however, and we just want basically people to come and then store our files. So in that case, what I'm going to do is what we are going to do is in this type of distributed file storage systems, we will still need basically we will still need to figure out that if there are multiple users, then how do we treat their identities? And I'm just going to skip that part because we are not interested in it. So, if, for example, if I think of this question as S3, then we would still need people to come like create their AWS accounts and all of that. And I'm just going to skip all of that part. So, user management and identity is something I'm just not going to talk about, but I'll still keep that user management and identity because I would need it to figure out that for each actor where their files are, where their so in S3 there is a concept of buckets. So where your bucket is, and I would need for this particular file system to have uh, two different APIs. Uh, and just correct me if I'm going wrong in this direction, like when I'm talking about the API, but we can talk more. So there should be like a put API. So you just put your file, and there would be another API called get API. So when you need a file, you get that file from the system. So those are the two major APIs that I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about like create a bucket and etc. All those concepts I'm just going to skip at this point. Does that make sense? So we are going
Yeah.
to focus on two major APIs. When you want to create a file and upload the data, so this is the put API. And when you want that file and get the data, at that time you're gonna basically call this API called get API. Does that sound good
Yes, yes, yes.
so far? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So put API and get API. So even in I'm just going to draw like a higher level diagram, so that's going to even clear picture in my head on what we are trying to build. So there is like an actor. That actor is trying to talk to a load balancer, and the load balancer is going. This is something. These are like our multiple servers that are going to be like distributed file servers. In order to do that, like for example, if an actor comes and it tells me that okay, store my file, I would need one more uh, metadata service also that is going to tell me where each actor's file is. So this is basically like a key value store that is going to tell me that uh, for user one, the file might be present on this host, and for user two, this might be present on another host. So that is like a metadata service that we are going to keep. This would be just like a key value store. Okay. And this is like a load balancer. This is a distributed file server. We can assume that there are multiple hosts here. So let me just walk through the flow so we can understand more of this. So a customer comes in, it tells me that it calls the API called put data. It hits the load balancer server. And then load balancer talks to the metadata service. It asks that, okay, for this user, what exact host that I have assigned this user to? And for that, like, because we will have to go to that host, and then this metadata service will also store that exactly where in the file system, like what is the byte location that is assigned to them, where it can keep uh, appending the log files there. So this metadata service tells there's this load balancer back, and like we can put one more service here. So not load balancer doesn't talk to this. Maybe this service should talk to the metadata service and figure out. So we can call this as a backend service. It asks it the metadata service tells the backend service that here is a host and this is where you want to put your data. And the backend service just calls one more like put operation on that file server. It basically uploads that file onto the file server. So that's how the put is going to work.
Okay.
And whenever a get API operation is called, at that time backend service is going to figure out that it's going to call metadata service, and metadata service tells it that where the file would be, and then the distributed like backend service is going to go to that particular host and fetch that file's content.
Okay.
So that's how the get and put API. And now I can either deep dive on to how the metadata services key value store look like. Uh, should I do that?
So, yeah, you want to get into metadata, fine. Metadata service, fine.
Yes, metadata services key value store. So how and where this is going to keep the how the mapping would be. So maybe I can just like because this metadata service would have some key value type of something like this. Metadata service. It will have key and value, and key should be like some user ID or like a UUID that is assigned to the user for the identity, and the value would be like what uh, host, or we can also think of it like as clusters, uh, where your file would be stored. So that would be the mapping.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Right. User
Or I'm
ID,
going
what
like
host?
totally which
No, I'm
host
trying
I
to
mean.
understand this. You mean what server?
Yeah,
Which
which
server
host.
cluster where the file is stored? Okay. And then so backend service is then going to call distributed file server, and then it's going to do then the distributed file server is what it is going to do the whole operation of storing the file correctly, right?
Yeah, I mean backend server is just going to upload it onto that particular host. Yes. The distributed file server is something. This is like actually like a host at this point. This is a host. So backend service uploads the data to the host.
Hmm. Okay. And what about the host? What is the host doing? Like like let's get into what exactly is the host doing? Like is it stateful? Is it stateless? Like what is it doing? So that is what I wanted to actually get into.
Okay. Uh, so basically, do you want to dive deep into how a file upload is working?
Yes.
I see.
So basically, an actor uploads a file, right? Okay. So let's say that
Mhm.
he uploads a file. He also gets a file. So so yeah. What's the whole operation going to be? How is the host going to put the file, send back the file? What if there's the client crashes? What if the actor uploads the file, the host crashes? All those things.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so then like I'm not really sure on the internals of like the file upload, but at this point, what we can try to do is one more thing that we can do is uh if we are like if we were talking about, I think I remember in this, like we want to upload files of 1 GB, right? So one failure point that I can think of is if we just put like a persistent connection from the like backend service to the host and trying to upload like a 1 GB kind of a big file, then like if the network interrupts in between when the service is trying to upload the file to the host, then when the next time network reconnects, you will have to like start upload from zero. So one thing that we can, and again, I think I might not be answering your question at this point, that how like the data packets are traveling across the nodes and then
Yeah, that
actually
don't worry
getting
about that.
stored. Okay, yeah, okay. So as long as we are not talking about that, so uh, that's fine. So basically, like if there is a big file, then that big file is going over the network, and if the network connection is breaking, then the upload is going to start again. So one thing that we can try to do to basically prevent that or maybe like make it more efficient is the backend service also like breaks down the file and then uploads it in chunks. Is it something that that you want me to go into, or you just want me to dive into like how what the host is doing? Because I mean,
No,
once the like the packets of the data, I mean, once the backend service serializes it and puts it on the wire, the host just writes it into the file. I'm not very sure on the internals on how it writes to the file. Or do you want me to go and talk about like maybe
no,
B
that's fine.
trees
If
and
you have if you have no idea about the internals, then that's fine. We can go to the next step.
no, I mean, if like internals, you mean if you want me to talk about maybe like B trees or SSM tables
No,
and
no, no, no,
that.
not about that. No, no,
Okay,
no.
okay. So, all right. So as long as we don't want to talk about that, so no
So
internals like B trees or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
so basically, a scenario would be like uh, the client, right? It retrieves the files from the host or from your system, and what if it's reading that file and suddenly the client itself crashes,
Mm-hmm.
right? and when it comes back up, so is it again going to ask the host for the file?
It's
I
not
mean,
going to ask the host for the file. So basically, if the actor is trying to upload the data, like calling the port API, and if the upload fails in between, then yes, in the system that we have designed, it's going to ask to upload the entire file, because currently in our system, we don't have any storage where we are storing like the partially uploaded data. So if we can design that if we want like a partial upload kind of a thing. And I can talk about that if that's where we want to go.
no, that is what. No, that is not what I asked actually.
Okay.
It, so let's say this actor, right? And this
Mhm.
has this actor actually gets the file from the server, right?
Mhm.
And let's say it crashes. The client crashes,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mhm.
What do you do then? Like, and it wants to read the file again. Is it again going to send a request to the server?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't quite get it.
So the client requests for a file. Let's say he uploads his own profile image. He
Okay.
stores it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
then the client crashes. Like it, I mean, it crashes. So basically, it boots up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is it again going to ask the host for the file?
Oh, are you thinking that, okay, are you saying that if the client called the port API and then
Not
before
put
getting a
get
response,
API,
the
get
client is
API. I
dying?
mean the file. I mean, sorry, the file is already there on the host. He's already
So
put the
why
file.
why would we upload it again? Because if it is get, then you're just going to get that file that's already stored, right? I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Wait, wait.
So, okay, let me just put this here, right? Let's talk about both the scenarios. A client is trying to do a get call,
Hmm.
or trying client did a put call. Okay, it uploaded the data, successful,
Hmm.
and then now client is trying to get that particular call, like get that particular image or whatever file that it uploaded, right? So when the get call comes, then you go to the metadata service, you see that, okay, where my particular file should land on which host, and I will go on that host and then I will retrieve it and then give it back.
Okay, and what are you passing in the get call? The file name.
Uh, File name. I mean, file name or like a UUID or whatever you want to, like
Okay,
basically like an object ID.
okay.
So object ID. So whenever like the put call, what this does is it can give back like another object ID as as the answer. Or no, actually, let's not do that. This is confusing. So put with some object ID that you whatever is the object ID that you called the put from, you just put that same object ID and then you get the file here.
Okay, and a client is okay. And next time the client wants to do the get call on the same file object ID, what happens?
It will get it, right?
It'll again do a call to the host.
Oh, you want me to add like caching? Is there where you want me to go?
Yes, I thought that would be there.
We
So
can
so so
add caching. So if it is like very small system,
I
then
mean you would
we
have.
would be okay to like have some latency. You can go to the host and retrieve it. If not, then what we can do is we can also add caching layer that's going to speed it up for us, and we can basically add like another caching layer in between the backend service and the host. So this can be like a cache. So yeah, we what we can do is, but the way that I was thinking about cache is the cache would only be populated at the time when you do like a get. I was not thinking about doing a cache update when you do like a put, but we can also do that. I mean, when you do put request, every time the put request or any request is gonna go through the cache, it's going to update the cache and then actual host, just to make sure that we know. But the actual uh yeah, we can do that. And one more, this is a cache for the actual file system. We can also put one more cache here on the metadata service. This is for the file storage slash block storage, and there can be like one more cache in between the metadata service, even to speed things up.
So that you're saying that there's still be a network call. Like if the client does a get call, I mean it wants to
Mhm.
retrieve the same file, you're saying there'll be a network call.
Yes.
I mean I was thinking maybe add the cache on the client itself. So if I'm on my laptop, right, and if
Mhm.
I get a file and it's 1 GB or let's say 500 MB, I store it in my local laptop. And again, if I try to get that file, I'm only looking in my like local machine RAM if that file is present. If it is present, I get it from there. Otherwise, I go to the cache. I mean the cache that you just added. I mean that way at least my network call is, I'm not doing another network call for the same file, right? So for
Uh,
example, I have a passport photo and I'm already
mhm.
on my laptop. Why would
Mhm.
I again do another get call, do a network call, something on that line?
But I think this is actually basically connecting back to the Dropbox story here. And uh, I was not, when we changed the question for like the distributed file storage, I basically dropped like the local storage on the client side, or like syncing of that local storage, because the way that I understood the question when you said like client is trying to get the file, I was thinking about getting the file from the uh distributed file system. Because if you already have a file on a local client, why would you want to call this whole service altogether? So that's why I was not thinking in that direction. If we want to discuss this, where like an actor like or the client also has like its local storage, where basically like a MacBook's file system or whatever, like your local system of the client, then yes, we will not need another network call here at this point. So then what if we tie it back again to the Dropbox story with this, what we can do is we can have like a local storage of that metadata, that what is the file and what is the content of the file, or maybe some hash of the contents of the file. In that case, the actor is, when it when it loads, like for example, if you open your Google Drive client on your Mac, then it it basically knows that I'm already synced up and I don't need to go and look up for any new changes. And I don't have to go that route, and I don't have to make a network call. I'm just going to, so the actor keeps working on the local storage and does not really go to the client. The only place, let's, I think I'll just go back to the story here at that point, is the only place that this is going to get or make any network calls are at the time of like a sync server. So let me put like a sync server here, and let's put this as like a local storage. So the sync server, whenever there is anything, then there is any new updates, it's just going to give all the updates to the local storage. So at this point, the actor is not really making any calls. What is happening is maybe this sync server is trying to make calls to the database. I mean, to the whole system. That whenever there is some, so the sync server is something that is also keeping track of if there are any changes that are happening on a local storage, like a daemon. And if there are any changes, that is going to call like this might like all the servers to upload the data. So sync server is something that's becoming really important here, where it is doing a lot of things, that if there are any changes, it is calling the service and uploading that diff. And if there are any changes on the diff from another client, the sync server is also making sure that it is updating the local storage.
Sorry, can you repeat the last part?
Mhm.
I mean, last part, can you repeat? The something is changed on the server by a different client?
Yeah, so for example, like this is my actor. For example, this is my actor who is working on the web browser, and it there is like, and it does not have any changes that are done by this actor that is working on maybe mobile client, and this mobile client makes any changes. So the sync server that would be present on the mobile device, that is going to detect that okay, there are some changes that are happening on this mobile device, and then it is going to upload the diff of from what was present in that server versus what I'm doing changes right now, and it's going to upload that data into the metadata server, into this whole system, if we put it as a black box at this point.
Okay.
So it's going to upload all of that
Hmm.
into the whole thing, and this sync service is also going to the sync service instance that is running on your web browser is going to give you all the updates that are in the local
How will
storage.
that sync server know about that?
The sync because this system, which is like a black box, that the sync server will have like continuous. It either can poll or it can have like a long poll to that whole black box system. You can let me just put this. I can big
So
black
you're
box.
saying something, or instead of long polling, you're saying the server I mean, your black box sends a notification to your sync server that the file has changed. So
Yeah.
please update the profile photo on the browser or
Yes.
something.
Yes. It can either be like as a notification model. Let me just put this like this, and it can either be like a notification that is sent, or the server can actually poll. Like the sync server can actually do like a long polling at this point.
So long polling, wouldn't wouldn't that be like putting a lot of pressure on the black box? Like how long? I mean, for like what is the duration? Like will it keep polling every second? Like what is that going to be?
We can decide what like the long polling timeout can be, but it can we can basically decide on how we
Okay.
think that our usage would be.
Okay.
So
I mean,
it can
basically because
either
I
be like
was
long
yeah.
polling. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I was thinking like that your black box will actually send a notification to your sync server
Mm.
to okay, this file has changed, so please update it on the remove it from the cache and update it, right?
Yeah, that is also like an acceptable thing. I think we can. This is just like two different ways of doing it.
Mhm.
We can also do it using like a notification. If you want to do it like a notification thing, then we can put like in between a queue that where the notifications come in, and from the queue, the sync server can basically read all these requests that are coming from the notification server. So this can be like another queue that is present, and like we can say like okay, all the updates are coming to the queue, and then from the queue it's just going to
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yes.
go to the like sync server. uh, Either of those should work, because uh, yeah, I think either of those should work. But if we think that we don't want to keep the server to be really hot by keeping the connections open, then this is like an async model that we can go and also just do this. But in that case, like this queue should be present for all the actors. Like I mean, all the clients, how many clients, whatever clients we are supporting. So like a desktop client or a mobile client or X number of clients should have like their own queue. So they will understand that what are the diffs that I have to do.
Okay. So now let's say you have two clients, right? Or two clients. I
Mm,
mean, and they both have their own local storage, right?
mm,
And let's say now they are doing a put,
mm,
right?
mm,
So let's say one client actually one client actually does a put. One second. So I mean, I think you covered that case. If one client does a put, it updates it on the server, and then your that server is going to send a notification to the other client that okay, it has changed, so please update.
Yeah, because there
I
is
mean,
this,
refresh
for
the cache.
example, like if we go into the internal details of this, right, there is this metadata server that whenever you do a put, like for the actor here, if it does like some changes, and the sync server of this actor is trying to sync those. Let me just put it here just to visualize it. So like this actor is doing changes. The sync server for that actor, like which is installed on that client, is going to like basically upload the data. When you upload the data, the metadata service knows, right, that this changed or there is something that got added. So the metadata service can actually say that, okay, this changed and can send a message onto the queue. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and okay. So I'm thinking one sec. So and you removed your cache from the middle, right, from your black box,
We had like a cache in the
and the above one
we
here you
can
removed.
put it. We did not put it because the cache discussion we did in that other distributed storage kind of. We can put the cache here.
So basically, so your I mean the server which is at the exact end, basically your distributed file server,
Mm.
is it remembering the clients? I mean, is it a stateful thing or stateless? And how does it matter? How will that choice matter? So what I mean is, I mean, let's say there's a client who sends a request and he has opened a file, right?
Okay.
So is that server going to put that? So if the next time the client asks for the let's say it crashed, right? So when it crashed, its local storage also like it went away. So now
Mm.
it actually does a get call to the same server again, basically based on your metadata service. So is your server again going to go to the disk and retrieve the file, or what? Like, is it going to store that file in its cache or something?
Mm. I'm
I
actually
mean,
not really understanding the use case here. So, uh, I,
uh,
an actor is working on a file on a web browser, for example, and you are saying that when there are changes and the sync server is trying to sync the changes, the the host where it's synced the changes dies,
yeah,
right?
no, I said the client died. I mean, so basically,
Okay,
what
the
you said
client
is
died.
you said
Okay,
that your client is going to have a local storage. So what do you mean by local storage? Is it your RAM or is it your some local database or something?
it is like your whole file because you would have synced the directory to this whole Dropbox, right? So when I
Okay.
say local storage, I mean about that directory that is there on your
Okay, so you duplicated
machine.
everything back into your web browser. I mean only that file, and you put the whole file and you store it in your web browser. So even if your web browser crashes, that file is still there, right?
Uh,
You
I
got it
think
right.
because we are talking about web browser, I think that's making it a little harder. Let's think about it as a file system of your laptop, right? So in your laptop, you would always have that file, which is
Okay.
already synced from your
Okay.
S3
The way
or
Google Drive does it.
whatever. Yes, yes, yes. That's
Okay.
mhm.
Yeah. I'm really sorry if my the way I've put my question is like so strange is because this is the first time I'm asking a distributed file storage first time, right? But I think you
No,
got
that's all right. If there was is there anything that you
yeah. I'm
want me to
thinking that.
cover? Okay.
I'm thinking that. Uh, I'm trying to think. So right now, all your requests goes to your file server, right? Like your last point. So every time a request comes to your file server, it's going to it's every time it's going to hit going to hit the disk, right? Because that is where your files are being stored,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So how is I mean So every request goes to your disk. So I believe a server also has its own. It can build its own cache. Is there something we can use that for? I'm just asking. I'm not sure. Just asking.
Uh, I'm trying to figure out like what exact point that you're trying to speed up the things and for what. Like, are you trying to speed up the gets for the client or like what
Yeah, but
exactly
basically
are we
get
trying to
right.
speed up here?
Basically
So
get.
the get is all if we talk about like a Dropbox kind of a scenario, right? Then in that case, you already have the files on your local storage, right? That are already synced. We are not making a get call, correct? What is
Okay.
happening with this sync server is the sync server is making a get call whenever it thinks that there is a new change, right?
Okay.
Because everything is happening here. It's not like S3 where you are trying to put the file and the file, even though the file might be present on your host, like on the second client, there is no file on your host. That's not the case here. Here, if we talk about it like a Dropbox scenario, there is a file that's already present on your laptop or your phone or wherever it is, wherever you're connecting from, and you are just trying to connect to that uh, store to upload your diff and to download any diffs. But actual document that you are trying to work on is already present in your local storage. Or is
Okay.
that assumption not true?
No, no,
Is
that's it.
that
But
what?
right now you are only trying about syncing from a single laptop. What if there's a different laptop that I also want to have all the files, right?
Yeah,
So
then
that is
you basically download that client, right? So when you download Dropbox kind of a application, it comes with like it asks you to download that client which syncs all the data first, and then you start
so
working on it.
basically it'll be another same. Everything that happened with the first device is going to happen again. So again, it'll go to your metadata service. It'll find out what the host is. It'll go to your host, retrieve the files, and send it back, right?
Yes, that is correct. And like if we will have like the cache to speed up the things on the metadata service that if a client is just trying to log into a different clients,
Okay.
basically an actor is trying to log into different clients, then with multiple caches in between, we can speed up the things if it's
Oh,
happening one after the other. But I don't see that as a use case to uh for this type of a system where we would have to cache a lot of things because an actor trying to download this into separate clients is only like a one-time thing that once that happens and you have like all the synced files on your local storage, then it you are only talking about the diffs at that point and uh, not like the entire data,
okay.
right?
Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to actually get into the disks, but I'm not understanding how to go into the disk. Like I want to even like we have not talked about the internals about this the host, right? Like
Mm.
how is it doing? So let's say one of the clients says send me a file. So what is the client going to do? Like what is the host going to do? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so in that case, then we will have to talk about like how the data is actually stored, right? Is the data stored on the machine like as uh I don't know, B trees or SSM tables or like log files, and basically it's going to figure out which is my byte offset where my data is stored, and it's just going to read and spin the disk from that byte storage to whatever is the number of bytes that file is from, and then it's just going to retrieve all that data and then give you back.
But before the internals, like even your operating system has some APIs, right? Read, but get attribute. Wouldn't that be enough? Like, like I go to my host, ask my host operating system, I want to read this file. That's all. You figure out, let the operating system figure out how to retrieve that file. But the will provide that API, right?
So that's what I think I assumed, right? Before when you said like, okay, give me the file, the host knows how to get the file.
Yeah, I just wanted you to mention that those things happen. So there's a there, I mean let's say one client actually asked the host to send a file, right? So let's say the host opened the file. So what happened when it opened the file?
Yeah, I'm actually not very sure on the operating system internals on how like
Okay.
the file is getting opened and all of that. I'm just assuming that the operating system knows when you say like this is the path, give me the file, then it just knows how to get that file.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, when I started, I wanted to get into that, but yeah, that's fine actually, because I wanted to see how the host handles that multiple clients. So by basically distributed file storage. So call by using open, close. How is it using close? If the client dies and the client doesn't say that close the file, what is the host going to do? Is it still going to have the file open? Something like that. But that's fine. It's not necessary we go into that.
Okay, last few minutes to wrap up, guys. Ankur and Namita.
Yeah, I think this is what I have. Uncle, do you want me accept like that actually file
Say again.
opening and closing? Do you want me to
No, no, no. That
wrap
that
up
that
anything?
that.
Okay.
Not an issue. That's fine. Uh, but yeah, you actually, based on, my questions were not so
The
clear. You actually handled both the cases. Actually handled both the use cases. You answered both the things.
Yeah,
That is really
Ankur,
nice.
like we will discuss the feedback, like, and you can give viewers or like Namita, you can also give a little end. First, we
Hmm.
will like give forum, like, first I would like to thank you both for volunteering. So, and coming up here and like be on the open platform. And I really appreciate you too. And audience, like, I think the mock interview is over. So opening it up for feedback, it could be both for Ankur and Namita to improve on any aspect as an interviewer or interviewee. We will discuss the Ankur's feedback towards the end. So, and also Namita's if she has any points.
So I am supposed to give the feedback first.
No, no, no. You are at
Okay.
last normally. That's what we follow. So, Hetal, go ahead.
Uh, yeah. So one feedback I had was regarding the clarity of question and the scope of the question. So initially it was mentioned like the Dropbox was mentioned and the distributed file systems, like distributed file storage was mentioned, but I felt like during the interview we jumped between these two. So if the scope of the question was clear from the first, we could have gone into details of any of this problem more. And yeah, that's what I felt.
Yeah, thank you, Hetal. So that's a good feedback. So yeah, I mean, like I think most of us may have felt. So, Shweta, you were about to speak up.
Yeah, I one thing I would like I'm really interested to know what Ankur really like how Ankur would have designed this and what was in his mind because I don't and like I don't think that both the interviewer and interviewee were in complete sync. There was some out of sync um, issues there. So I'm still curious to know what was there in Ankur's mind and how he
Uh,
would have designed.
so basically, what I wanted to do was, what I had in my mind was no load balancer, no cache, or no backend service. Just like clients and just the host server. That's all. That is what I thought that how this interval will go with.
Mm-hmm.
But right, there's nothing in between. There's nothing in between, right? Just the client is just doing a read call, and the host is just returning something. That's all. I mean, that is what I thought, and that is how I wanted to go ahead. But I think it's a general pattern that in a system design interview, it's like you start with the whole high level architecture.
No, I think the first in the question itself, Dropbox name was mentioned. So when you mention a particular name, then obviously an existing system design comes into anybody's mind, and they will start thinking in that direction. That's how I felt. Um, uh, maybe
Actually,
I
I was
mean,
thinking about this yesterday. What should I
yeah.
say? I mean, I actually thought I'll ask design a distributed file system. That's all, distributed file system. Then I thought it'll become very vague. So maybe to get an idea, I'll start with design Google Drive. Maybe I shouldn't have that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Shweta. Thanks, Ankur. So, anyone else like to pitch in and give their feedback?
I had one question for Ankur. Like when Ankur mentioned about a server being stateless or stateful, I just wanted to know what he had on his mind, like how that would differ in like in this question, regard of this question.
I mean, if there if there's a client, right? I mean, the way I showed was there are like only client who are getting the file, reading the file, putting the file, and there's only host. There's nothing in between, right? Now the server. Now let's say there's a client one who actually does a read call, right? And what is it going to send? It is going to send a file name, right? And what is it going to say? What is the host going to do? It is going to take that file name. It is going to find out where exactly that file name is actually, and it's going to return a file descriptor or something like a. It's going to do many things, right? It's going to find the inode. I mean, basically the metadata about the file. It is going to return the file descriptor, right? So my thing was, is the system going to remember that this client asked me for this file descriptor? Am I supposed to keep it open? Something like that.
Okay, so
And let's say
something like the metadata service that is put here.
yes, but this yeah, I didn't have this into my mind. So basically, what Namita did was she designed the high-level architecture based on actual services. I wanted to put this metadata actually into the host, everything into the host. I mean, that was my intention. But maybe that was my intention actually. How will the
Okay,
single server handle everything? Not a single server, but let's say there are two servers or one server. How will that handle 4 clients? And there are clients who are uploading the same file, working on the same file, and they have their own cache in them. How the server is going to handle that, or how is the client itself like the inside the client is an implementation. How is that going to handle that case?
okay. So,
But
so let me put the question differently. So let's say we have this metadata service. W- why would putting it into the host be better than putting it before the host? So like for saving the network calls, let's say.
no. I meant what happened? She stopped steering. So
Uh,
what? Wait, and my video is shown.
Namita, you can keep the screen share on just to have the audience context if you can. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Appreciate it.
So
Yeah.
what? So what actually I meant was there's only a client, and it is directly calling the host. That's all. There's no other service. That's what I meant. And I mean, how is a file system implemented on an operating system? It has read, it has other calls like read, get attribute, uh, like post or put inside the operating system,
Mhm.
and right, and that's all. And how is a single server going to handle multiple clients? And all those multiple clients are working on a single file. There's nothing else. There's no load balancer. There's no backend service. There's nothing else. So how would you do that? I mean, a basic system where there's nothing else. The client is just directly connected to the server. So obviously metadata will be inside. I mean, the server will have to remember, right, which client sent what, for a single client, if the client is asking for a file name, where exactly I have to look for that file, right?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, my understanding for distributed system would be having at least multiple hosts and trying to avoid single point of failures. So in that regard, I would like, yeah, like
I mean,
like
yeah, I mean,
my
I go,
understanding would be different on that.
yes. I mean, that's what, I mean, that is where I struggled. I mean, basically, that is what I wanted to get into. But
Mhm.
I mean, if you go and read any of the papers on distributed file systems, they don't go with load balancers. They don't go with all the different type of services, right? They just think, how do you make your server distributed and handle the distributed case, wherein you have your some servers and you have some clients, nothing in between, and no queue, no cache, no Redis, no Memcache, no S3. So it was based on that. My question was, but then how do I frame that question? Uh, how do I
So
frame that question?
Ankur, is not that just design the
Mhm.
client server file API instead of actually having the file API file library on a single box? You have to use some client part and the server part for the file API. Is
Yes.
that what you are asking?
Say again.
So just to make the client server version of the file APIs.
Client version of the
Client
file
server
API.
version for the file API. So what you do, you have if you have to access some file on a single box, so you use some inbuilt APIs, and underneath the library take care the position for the offset for this particular handle where you are reading right now in that file.
Yes.
So
So
you
Yeah,
want it to
that thing.
actually,
But how
so
do you
for
handle
me,
the multiple clients?
so you
so
want
for
it to
me,
do that. Sorry, go ahead, please.
sorry, Praveen. Like, so just to understand Ankur a bit better, like what he had in mind. So, were you having something like operating system, file system? I mean, like OS file server, but like it can accept the request from other than the host machine from network also, like a network file system. Is that
Yeah,
what?
Yeah,
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm thinking.
there are like there's NFS, right? Network file system. There is Andrew file system, and these two papers, right? So these are nothing but distributed file systems. I mean, and those papers they say how to design a distributed file system. So I wanted to get into those. Like, I mean, if you read those papers, there's no. So basically, what I was just asked, that there's a client and and do file APIs, exactly that. And how do you have four similar clients, like same clients? Same user but multiple clients, and they are trying to call a single server.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, definitely. I
So
see the framing. The question
yes.
is, yeah,
So I mean, I
I
think a
see.
distributed so this is so there's a difference between distributed and scalable, right? I think distributed means how is a single server handling many clients, and scalable means how can you make the use of many servers and handle many clients. Maybe
Yeah, I
that is
think
what.
that's the part where I beg to differ. I feel like when I think of distributed system, the system is at least talking about more than one host.
Yeah, more than
Yeah,
one.
definitely. Like, yeah, otherwise, like it cannot.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
not
they
called
will be.
distributed, right? Like, I mean, like the point is like, yeah, if you just have one, like it can fail anytime. It's no
I
longer
mean, not single
distributed.
server, exactly single server, but there'll be multiple servers, but at least not from the point of view the way like so how do I say this? So when you
Yeah,
say
so
design Google design drive, yeah, but
yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that is definitely like user doesn't know that they're interacting with the distributed system or not. Yeah, at that part I agree, but still on the backend side, for handling a distributed system, right? If we have multiple hosts, we still need some load balancer to decide which host to route to request to. We still need some caching for reducing the latency, right? Things like that.
yes, but exactly. But I wanted to actually no. So that's fine. So that's fine. I mean, you
Mhm.
start with the high level architecture, and then it's upon the interviewer where he wants to focus, right? Where he wants to
Right.
push the interview to. I wanted to push to how those servers are implemented. What are those servers doing? So if you see both the diagrams, right? Yeah, we have covered everything. I mean, Namita has covered everything, but the only thing
Mhm.
was we didn't go into the host. What is the host exactly doing, right? I mean, there's nothing. We didn't do anything on the host, and that is what I actually wanted to get into.
Right. So I think
And she
that,
and she yeah,
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
and she said that she's not sure about the internals. So it's like I'm lost now. That's what I mean. She said she doesn't remember the internals, right? I mean, not exactly the internals, but at least some basic understanding of what that host is doing. We couldn't get into
So
those. So
yeah,
I got
Ankur,
lost now.
like
What do I do?
yeah, I would let I mean like some others were uh, speaking. I cut them also.
Yeah.
Prep or like Praveen, I don't know,
Hey,
like
this is Praveen Sitaru. I just want to say that
mhm.
the question was, you know, you could have just zoomed in on few areas and just focused on one area and asked like whether how should the APIs after getting the full picture of the diagram, you could just zoom in on host or zoom in on put APIs or get call or how the put APIs look like, what are the response that it gets, or how is it actually at the host side, right? I think what you wanted to get out of is how multiple, when you edit it, right, or do something, how the host is handling the different files, or what if on you make edits or you drop a file and it crashed in between, so you're checking the edge cases of how the host is handling the metadata, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so in that case you could have just say like there is some internal host memories that you have to create so that it can track from which timestamp, which device, which file is coming, and then it has to do merge of different files of which user is actually updating. So that was not clear actually for some time.
Yes.
Okay. I think Praveen got some disturbance. So anyone else like to speak? Thanks,
Sorry, so I
Praveen.
actually joined late, but I think I still want to reconfirm though. So here I heard three different things actually. First
Mhm,
is the Google Drive. So I heard
mhm,
someone mention about Google Drive. Someone said about S3 bucket, or maybe sorry, Dropbox actually. And then in this diagram, I also saw S3. And then now we're talking about distributed file system. So I think obviously I joined late, so obviously I don't have the real context of this interview, but what was the question here? So I think Ankur mentioned that here we are designing the distributed file system, right? So that's period. So
Yes.
we are talking about distributed file system, right? No other object
Yes.
store here, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like that was his intention, but like I think the framing initially when he framed, he said like he included like design a system like Google Drive, but I want to focus on storage. So that
Okay.
actually caused some
So
confusion.
isn't
And
S3
also,
a distributed file system?
S3 is the object store, right? So that
Mhm, mhm,
there's so many terminologies we are
mhm,
using here, and
mhm,
it's all overridden terminology.
mhm.
So I always thought that S3 is object store, right?
Yes, it is an object store.
It's an
Yeah.
object
But
storage, right?
Mhm.
Now,
but it
when
will
you
be a file system, right? Object
It's
store means
little
what?
different from file storage. It's
it
Ankur
is
like.
different from the block
Mhm,
storage, it's different from the file storage, right? So we are talking about in a
mhm,
file system terminology, like if you talk about EBS is a block storage, right? It's a distributed block storage basically. Internally it's a file system, but obviously EFS is one of them from AWS terminology, if I understand this. Then we are talking about S3 here. So S3 is nothing but like put and get. It's just that either you copy the whole thing or you don't copy anything. Nobody's keeping track of, well, in this case, that's what my understanding is. I could be totally wrong here. But the S3 is the really object store, right? So either you go and upload it, which is put API, and either you get it. You can't just do the partial update or anything like that, right? So anyway, so I think thanks for clarifying that. So here we are talking about designing the distributed file system here. Okay.
Yes. That was what my intention was. But then I
Yeah, but I
thought
think that-
internally,
yeah.
even Cassandra is a file system, even MySQL, Postgres, they all are file systems. Even REST is a file system. And on top of that, you are doing something else so that it becomes a block storage or whatever, right? But internally, everything is a file system, right?
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah,
you
I know,
meant
but
like
that is
That is
more
what I wanted
specific,
to actually
right?
do.
yeah, you
Yeah, but
don't
I
want
think
to
one thing.
generalize that and confuse
Yeah,
people.
exactly. So one thing we should always remember in this kind of forum is that it's pretty generic forum, right? So we don't know the other person's information. Like in this case, Namita, right? So I don't know how much experience she has in the file system specifically. So we have to be very, very careful about what question do we ask, right? Because we cannot expect that person to know each and everything, right?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
that
I
is
know
why I
that
had
the
two
person can
questions.
go deeper if it's good, but again, I feel like obviously Namita may not have this experience on the file system internals, right? Which we are,
So
I think, yeah.
I had two questions. That is why I had two questions. So when I mean initially when we got confused, right? I asked Namita, okay, let's remove this question. Let's ask the other one, which is wiki crawler.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
mean,
like
like Ankur,
and then
like
Naga.
yeah, I interrupted. Like the reason I interrupted is like, I mean, like I don't want like we are already like 15 minutes into discussion,
No,
and
actually
like
it was not
starting
you. It was
another
Namita
session.
only who said that let's continue with this only.
So,
I
Ankur,
think,
do you mind to
I think-
actually just show that what you are having in your mind, what APIs you are thinking, so that we can actually get the clarity about what actually you wanted to design here?
No,
But
I
still,
didn't
to be
have
very
any
frank, I'm
APIs.
not
I
clear
mean,
that what was expected here.
I think, yeah, before we get into that, like I'll probably set some expectations. So like also give feedback to Ankur and like what I think we should do like in this mock interviews. So in general, like when we get into system design, the goal of system design interviews is to like this is as far as I understand, like that's how like normally most companies do also. So the goal is to understand like the candidate's thought process, and if you give a some scenarios where you need to make trade-offs. So if this fails, what would you do? Like, do you accept this failure? So how do you detect those failures? So how do you make your system resilient or like identify and like react to failures? So those are like, I mean, like it's mainly to understand the approach and thought process of given a distributed system design question, and it it doesn't, it could involve like just one component which you had in mind like Ankur, like just specific to file system, or it could be broader in the sense like I just want to see like candidate like knowledge across like different components, like whether they know understand the full distributed system or not, like load balancer, web servers, databases. How would they make the, how is their thought process in choosing the databases or data models? How do
but
they identify single point of failures? I mean, like, let me finish. So,
yeah.
so this is, I mean, like, this is, as far as I understand, like, this is the general format of mock interviews. Like, there is a goal which we want to see where candidate is good at. So, and evaluate candidate strength and weakness. So, and if this was a specific requirement, like where the company is only interested in, like if the company is only working or like the team that you are interviewing for, he's only going to work on the file systems and it's just like let's say design Azure storage or like AWS storage, something like that. Only in those cases, I mean, like I would go into the internals and also um, like make the candidate aware of that upfront. But so I want to design like this. So one, like it's just to set you the context for later. If the candidate is not comfortable, then just focus on evaluate other areas where they're good at. So it may be it may not be useful for your team, but like it, they could be good for other teams within your company. So that's how like the interviewer needs to be normally. So we don't want to drag them into the area where we are good at. We have to identify like what's their strength and thought process is, given a tricky situation like that they're comfortable with. So so I see that like you are trying to pull her to an area where you are, I mean, like where you want to test or where you want to evaluate
No,
more.
no, we didn't even get into the host thing.
Yeah, that's what, like, she mentioned that, and I see that your goal was to evaluate more there, but like you are not able to. So but I mean, like, I feel you should be okay with that, because this is how things, right? Like, we cannot expect everybody to know what we know. It's the same other way also, right?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I took an interview on systems, and maybe that is something I really have to learn.
Yeah, I
And
mean, like,
Ankur,
that's okay. It's
one
all
thing is when you're giving taking an interview, right?
Mm.
You have to you were little bit bossy in terms of the interviewer. You have
Yeah,
to
for that.
come down a little bit and be more humble when you're asking. It feels like you're questioning her. It
Mm.
should not be like a questioning, but it should be more like collaborative. Like how will we
Mm.
do this? Let's try
Casual.
to
Yeah.
make this. Okay, I know you're getting here, but let's see how we can build this.
Mm.
The whole objective of a design interview is you're not building you're not going from A to B. It's just
Mm.
what is the best way to go to A to B. Let's work it out together. It's like a teamwork. Only thing you're just giving, like, I need to go from Seattle to California. Let's go there. And then you're just a backseat driver, and Namita is actually driving, and you can say, okay, let's take this route. How about this route? If we go this route, what restaurant, things like that. So you should
Mm.
not say, I just want you to take I-5, don't want you to take highway 2, I just don't want you to stop at this place. You can give her a rough idea. So try to be a little bit more humble when you're asking. I know
Mm.
being aggressive sometimes, though Namita was trying to, and Namita was trying to say her boundaries pretty subtly and explicitly also.
Yes,
But
yes, she was brilliant.
yeah, some after some point she became explicit, but you didn't get the hints that Namita was saying when she said that I don't know the internals. That's the point.
Mm.
I think if I'm at Namita brain, she's like, I'm done with it. I can't be more implicit. I have to be explicit and say that this is beyond my scope. Or what Naga also will tell, right? You should understand the like from a shadows, and like what is her strengths and weaknesses, and then pick on some areas and then work it out a little bit more in a humble way. um, Namita, she did a great job in drawing all the diagrams much more than what I could have done. I like the flows and everything, but Namita didn't get time to showcase her going into internals of any of these. It was a very high level design interview, not a low level where she could actually go into uh, more a traditional design interview of at least
Yes.
once the
So
high
I
level
think
is done, you should focus on one area where you want to focus in. Like every interview, like if it's database, how will the tables be? If it's like APIs, how will the put APIs be? Or how will you and then later on there are so many areas, right? You could have just focused on that. So that's
so.
my
I think what you're saying is, instead of me asking her to go into one direction, I should let her uh, take, like, steer the wheels, as you said, like be the front driver and then do wherever she wants to go into. Right?
yeah, you should get a whole picture of what she
Mm.
wants to showcase, and then you need to ask her, can you tell me more about how you will do this, or what are the different ways to do this, right? You can,
Mm.
using the same ingredients of egg and bread, you can make hundreds of dishes, but how will you do it? What is your take on it, and how you will make it better? And you can say, I then you can add some constraints of, I don't want to add this, or I don't want to have that. But initially, you should give Namita the little bit more room for her to say, and also based on her experience, what she feels comfortable, and then you can dig, like, if she is comfortable in this, if I ask her more, at what point she will break down, or what point she will actually use her creative mind to solve the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
So
I ask for some feedback on how I did? because I'm really and thank you, Alex. I saw your comments in the chat, but
Namita,
I
is that
want to understand that how well, like if in this case where the problem was kind of ambiguous for me at some point, and at the end when Ankur was asking me that just dive into the host, I did not know like what exact host things that he wants me to dive into. I just want like some overall feedback on as an interviewee how I did and what can I improve or what could I have done better.
I can
Mm,
start off, Namita. I think you did a good job of, changing your strategies multiple times, which is good in an unclear situation. And how you drew the diagrams is good. But at some point you could have, and you were asking right questions like, let me go back to since you changed the requirement, let me go back to the basic assumptions. That is good. You did that multiple times. I saw that. And also, when you got stuck, you actually were saying that I'm stuck, but I can still try or something. So that is also good. In terms of overall, um, I couldn't see you were still at 20,000 feet or 50,000 feet. I couldn't actually go down to 1,000 level or 500 level feet on any one topic here. That's one thing. You could have asked the interviewer like, hey, let me, do you want to go into details of any of this? I can go. But most of the times we were stuck with high level 50,000 feet and 20,000 feet. That is my feedback. But overall, you did great considering the question you were asked.
Okay, thanks, Praveen. Anyone else like to give feedback to Namita? Mm, Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, I just want to apologize, Namita, for my screw up.
Hey,
But
oh,
I
no
mean,
worries.
she handled it very gracefully. So thank you for that.
no, I mean, like,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
a platform for both. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, since it's first for you, like, you may not know Ankur, but like, that's why, like, I normally ask to go at least look in one or two of the sample interviews. So, yeah, but anyway, there is room for everyone to improve. Santosh, go ahead. Santosh.
No, I said, yeah, Namita was surely good, but Ankur also tried a lot, and I would say best luck for him. Yeah, good job, both of you.
And I would recommend Ankur and Namita to sign up these sessions more. That is the way how we'll learn. It's better to get a, a critical or constructive feedback in this forum and able to pass any interview in the future. So, uh, failing in a real-time interview has its own cost, but here it's all about improving. Like we are all improving as a group. And if somebody is giving feedback to Namita or Ankur, that is actually feedback for everybody to implement in their day-to-day system design skills.
Okay.
Yeah, plus one on that, Asim. Just a couple of quick comments. I like the way Ankur actually cleared initially. I know for a lot of people it was confusing, but I still like the clarity he had. That is, even though it's a Dropbox or Google Drive, he wants to focus on storage. So sometimes we spend a lot of time reading what the interviewer wants, but here it was very, very well explicitly laid out. And even though Namita was going on a different places, Ankur was saying that, okay, I want to focus on the host. So yeah, I mean, to Ankur's defense, I saw that he was trying to convey what he wanted to get to. So kudos to you for that. And I saw there were a lot of things in addition to the host, like going about the distributed file system, the concurrency, the replication. There are a lot of Easter eggs here, which could have been explored by both the interviewer and interviewee. So I would have liked to see those parts, but we could not cover that. And again, I'll just second everybody's comments on Namita's trying to bring the clarity and drawing all these diagrams. That was great job. So yeah, it is a great experience for me to attend these sessions and learn from this discussion. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank
And
you, Bhumi.
Ankur, I just want to mention I felt like other people told there's no harm to mellow down. Like I know that could be a natural style, and even I also have something similar style. But in an interview, we can make some adjustments and see how we can make the interview candidate more comfortable, because candidate itself would be really nervous when the interview starts, because you feel yourself on the other side and see how much nervous you can get. So bringing more um, soft skills and trying to interact with candidate in a mellow down fashion could help the candidate to bring out his or her strengths in a better way. So that could help in terms of making the interview successful. And the other thing is, for Namita, there could be always situation. There could not be a well-defined layout. Like right now, we are discussing, hey, do in that way. But in real world, things can go really in a different way. Even in one of my previous system design interview, the interviewer was not giving me exact requirements what he wants me to solve. He just told, okay, let's start a discussion, and then I have to purposefully ask him like, hey, if you want to spend the next 30 minutes with me on this topic, then I want more clarity. If you just want 5 minutes discussion and then give me exact requirements, then I'm okay just to talk. But if you want me to solve this problem for next 40 minutes, then I will go to whiteboard and start jotting down things, and I will solve it end to end. So there could be always situations where interviewer wants to initially probe you to see where what kind of skills you have. Might be he or she wants to change later, but up to you. You can purposefully ask like, no, I want to stick with this, and you did the same thing today. I want to stick with this now, and would continue. So sometimes we are the owner of our destiny, how we want to steer the wheel.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Asim. I think uh, I understand. I mean, I was uh, like kudos to Ankur. I think after some point, I think I got where he wanted to go in the host, but I was not very sure on the host internals on how the operating system is talking to the disk. And when I asked him about the B-trees and SSM tables and stuff like that, we did not even want to go there. So I was not very clear on where we wanted to go. But yeah, I think it was my call on just going forward with that, and I took that call because we were already like 10-15 minutes in the discussion, and starting over with another problem would have given me even lesser time on that other problem. So I just thought that let me just go forward in this direction and see where I can land.
And you see, Namita, this is actually good for you. You're able to get to know where is your dead end, after which you are not having any enough data points to talk about. And
Yeah.
now you can always consciously or subconsciously, when you're preparing, you can look for the data points like, hey, if I'm stuck in the situation, what to do. And I can assure you, whenever if you are going for system design interview, there are very less chances they will ask you based on your previous experience. I remember getting questions which I have never worked on, like uh, designing YouTube or designing API rate limiter. I was having no damn clue what to do with that. But with practice, we know like, okay, if I'm blocked here, either I have to tell the interview, this is my dead end, I can't go further, or we need to read some more articles, blogs, and get some more information so we have some more data points to talk in the interview.
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to read about distributed file systems after
Sure,
this.
sure. And that is good actually.
Mhm.
I mean, once I was asked, I mean, I gave a mock, I mean, I was the interview on interview.io and I was asked to design distributed queue.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Like, just like distributed file system, design a distributed queue. I mean, it doesn't have to be do anything with any use case or load balancer or anything, right? I mean, I'm sure that, I mean, that interviewer, I think he was from Amazon, and I'm sure he wanted me to design file system. Like, how does Redis even do what it does? That's
So,
all.
so I have seen like there could be two types of things which could happen, or multiple things. One is like somebody will give you to design an end-to-end system like Dropbox, and then it would have a lot of components: front end, back end, uh, cache, databases, services, microservices. Or it would be very, very specific, like, okay, design a cache. Then it would be a different paradigm. So if you folks are preparing for interviews, I would recommend to look into both aspects, when you have to design end-to-end system or when you have to design very particular thing in a system, because designing end-to-end system would be a different thought process, because there would be a lot of components. But if you're just doing designing a very particular component like cache, it would be a different thought process. Okay, then what would the cache do, how it will store, performance, consistency, and blah blah blah, so many
I
other
think
things.
I think that is what I should not have done. I should have not said design Dropbox. So I think somewhere in between, Namita also mentioned you go to another laptop, you download the Dropbox client, you sync.
Mhm.
So I think that thing I should not have started with that. That's
Yeah, and
design
it's
Dropbox.
okay, Ankur.
But
It's
that's
okay.
okay,
Totally
Ankur. What
fine.
you say, Dropbox or Google Drive, that will give the interviewer a high level of what you're looking for. And then that should just be like a, I need to create some system like this, like GFS, AWS, or something. But if you had to create, what will you do? That should be the question. Like, if you are creating something new, what will you do for it? So that's when she will come up with her prototype. Like, it's like you have an image in your mind, or you're drawing an image of a tiger, and you gave a clean canvas to Namita to see, okay, you want to draw tiger, and you gave her pencil and a whiteboard to draw the tiger. So how good she draws, and whether tiger looks like a dog, or that's different, but at least you should drive her that you gave her that idea, which is good.
And if the drawing is looks like a different thing also, like a cat or a dog, and you're expecting, that's also fine.
Yeah.
Until unless you're getting enough data points from Namita, what are her strengths or what are her things where she can improve. And whenever you write the feedback, you will able to know, okay, this candidate has these strengths and the things where it needs to improve. If they could worked on over the period of time, then definitely let's bring that candidate in.
Thanks for all
Okay.
the feedback, but
Shweta, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing to Ankur. I think he was also great, and I think as a mock, doing a mock interview for an interviewee, I think it is better to be under extreme pressure case, so that it's okay to fail here because we are here to learn. So I think all in all, I want to say to both of them that good job. I mean that's fine. It's good to be under extreme pressure. I think that's fine. That's how a mock interview should be, and shouldn't be making us feel comfortable, I think. So that's okay.
Alex, you want to give feedback? Alex, are you there, or anyone else?
Yeah, I have one or like two small items for Namita before Alex comes up. Or so I think like in the requirements phase, like I don't know. I think I see Alex also gave. Oh yeah, his microphone is not working. So, but I also felt like maybe few more questions on the use cases, like to get Ankur's clear idea, like whether he really wanted or not. Like, yeah, it could be the either way, right? Like sometimes interviewer might not give all the requirements. They simply say design something, and then you have to ask more questions and gather requirements. What is the use cases? How many user base? I think user base and all like Ankur gave. That's good from his part. So, but like I think as a interviewee candidate, like you can ask more questions, and you can split up the non-functional from functional as a form of good template, so you always know how many users, like how many times they read these files per day. Like, I mean, like there was some questions about caches and all, so I don't know, like if it's only 1,000 users, they only read once per day, then you don't need cache or something. Maybe if they are reading like per day like 100 times, all 1,000 users on most of the files, then I think it may make sense. But like given just 1,000 users, like whether you need like a full-fledged like distributed caches across all hosts, or like, yeah, how much you need, so all those will depend on the use case. So I mean, like and whether you need to have clients, all that. I mean, like it's part of the problem is like extracting the requirements upfront will definitely help us candidates like to focus on the right area. Yeah, but in this case, it's okay. And I think capacity requirements, you asked a question, and high level design you are pretty good at. Um, and yeah, as Asim also pointed out, like identify the areas where you're not good at, like which all databases, it could be on the databases side, how the object storage work. I mean, like it's good to know some of those internals. It's part of learning the breadth and also going little deep in each area, in each of those areas. So because we never know where like interviewer might ask, but like, yeah, telling them that you don't know, but like this is how it works at least should help in most cases. um, yeah, maybe like you can sign up for more, like, and probably, I don't know if, hopefully we'll have a
I'll do
different
on
question.
pram.com. I'll try to become a better interviewer on pram.com and also a better interview.
Yeah, I mean, like it's everybody like has always something to learn. It's nothing like nobody is a master here. So
I mean,
we always have something to learn. So
I was taking the interview and I was reading the chats. It was like I was getting so nervous. I mean, am I asking bad questions? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? So I shouldn't have read the chat also.
okay, so Namita, like again, like general idea is like again as part of the template, like after going through the detail, so you have to discuss the trade-offs. But like here, I assume like based on what you felt, where you didn't do like much, or like what your system can do or not. Those are some of the things which we didn't get here, but like that's generally like when you wrap up, you tend to mention like I did to the this system is capable of doing this things positive, and this cannot do these things. Discussing trade-offs or any other bottlenecks towards the end is always a good idea, just as a practice for you for next time.
Yeah, thank you, Durga, for the feedback. I'll basically try to improve on the template and try to divide the functional versus non-functional requirements so that it's very clear. Yeah, I think I'll improve on that. Thank you so much.
So Namita, Naga actually go to the Discord, sent couple of times that some templates, you can look at that.
Cool. I'll take a look.
Anything else like before we wrap up, or like?
Yeah, I think we can wrap up now. Already we are almost at 3 hours.
Yes. Okay, thanks everyone. Like if you have any like informal questions, you can hang on after this. Like,
So
yeah.
so Naga, so
Sorry,
there's just one thing.